welcome to Upturned Table. And today we have another unboxing. This is Realm Reforged by Wildspire Miniatures. It should have been Blacklist Miniatures, but there's a story. There's a story involved. This is Wildspire Miniatures Classics. And this is the second set of miniatures that would have been produced by Blacklist Games, but the rights ended up going to Wildspire, who already were producing a lot of plastic for different themes and some a little bit more whimsical. But they did some fantasy miniatures previously. So what happened and how did we get here? So I wasn't even expecting to have a physical box to open, and we'll explain where this all went wrong and why we have this box in front of us today. So originally, Blacklist Miniatures, which was part of Blacklist Games, were funding two series. This was to be the second series. They called them Fantasy Series 1 and Fantasy Series 2. Series 2 was done with the intention of also creating a miniatures game. So they were going to do, I believe it was 1 to 5 players, so it had solo capabilities, so a cooperative fantasy game using these miniatures called Lasting Tales. And during the fulfillment and kind of logistics of Series 1, they ran out of funds. So the North American backers of Series 1 had some trouble getting those. And I'll put a link to the video of Series 1 and the original Blacklist miniatures. And the real attraction to this is they're, very usable, very, kind of generic fantasy miniatures, and there's a lot of them, and they're very cheap. So what happened was, to get themselves kind of out of trouble, Blacklist, with this fulfillment, Blacklist Games sold the IP to Wildspire Miniatures, and they took over fulfilling the second fantasy series. And the Lasting Tales IP and rights still stay with Blacklist Miniatures. They do plan on trying to raise some funds for that and get that released. But that was supposed to happen this year, and I haven't heard any updates about that. So luckily, being in Asia, the first series got to me very quickly, and we took a look at those. And it was close to the same number, about 200 miniatures once all the stretch goals were released. But they came, if you've seen that video, in 2 very large boxes. So this has me a little worried because it's the same amount of miniatures, but in a much smaller box. So when the fulfillment did fall apart for the Series 2 for Fantasy by Blacklist, they did offer everyone that pledged, of course, that you could request a refund, but they did offer everyone that pledged the STLs. So I did receive STLs for all of these miniatures, but they did discount so cheaply the actual plastic minis themselves, much cheaper than that they would ever be at retail. And it's another, like you can see, another almost 200 miniatures for use in fantasy. These have proven very useful in things like Frostgrave, or anytime we need to just grab some quick miniatures from the table. There's a huge number, variety of things that would work as both player characters and NPCs, and then a huge range of monsters. And I think we're even going to see Cthulhu in there. So they work really well to just have as a backup. And they're board game quality, but they're a pretty decent standard. So they are paintable. You could actually put a brush to these if you wanted to, have them more complete for the table. So yeah, this all started in 2020, the first series that Blacklist did. And that, unfortunately, they ran into the logistics problems, the shipping, everything, materials costs, and, China shutting down just like everybody did during that time. So they ran into that difficulty, and then it just became a funding issue. So these miniatures are now in the hands of Wildspire. So let's open this up and take a look. Let me get the plastic off so we can take a look at the box a little bit better. And this second series, I believe, was 2022 is when it was supposed to be fulfilled. And Wildspire did a good job of kind of, picking up the pieces of this campaign and they got a physical box, here. I think I didn't have the same kind of advantage because I think this was actually shipped from the US. I didn't have the same sort of advantage with the first series, but I'm curious about how these came out. These are the original molds that were tooled for this first series, and how they're presented. So the first series by Blacklist Miniatures was 2 large boxes that had, I think, 3 layers of vacuum formed trays with lids on them and everything. So that things were very storable. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of plastic bags, things in plastic bags. And this plastic is not going to be breakable. It's, kind of board game material. So I'm not expecting to see any snapped weapons. We're probably going to see some bendy swords and spears. But other than that, and they did some nice art. Realm Reforged, kind of picking up. So they have both Series 1, which was released, not completely fulfilled. I think they finished fulfilling, and maybe with their new packaging, they finished fulfilling in North America for this, changing to the Wildspire branding. And on the back, there's not much more information. It's interesting. The barcode here in the description is just gray set 195. So we'll see. Yeah, and they do have a Chinese manufacturing address. So maybe these did actually come. There's a UK and a EU. Oh, and so they must be. I know that Blacklist was, I think, based in Los Angeles. So this must be a European party. So they came from there. It arrived by UPS, which is a little unusual. That's why I assumed North America. All right. So yes, we have Fantasy Miniatures, so 28 millimeter scale, unprimed. They are assembled, so there's no sprues or anything in here, no pieces to glue together. And they are D&D compatible. It's interesting that not a lot of people can get away with even saying D&D, Dungeons and Dragons or D&D. So it's interesting they just went with that. I'm sure they didn't get any approval. I don't see any Wizards of the Coast copyright on here. But they're going to do what they're going to do. All right, so let's see. So it's a sturdy box. Oh, nice, and black on the inside, not just raw cardboard. And it's got the little cutaways, little scallops for lifting, so you can take the lid off without having all that air getting trapped. And here we go. So we got a little bubble wrap, and we have no vacuum trays. Yes. So, interesting. So here is a book. Oh, wow. So I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with their previous products. They do have several sets available online retail and places. Wildspire does, but they included a book that looks like it's probably going to have 5e stats and character sheets inside, calling it Classic Encounters. And here's a QR code for the PDF of this, if you'd like to see what's going. Wow, a full color. Wow. Okay, well, they put something into it, and I can see now their motivation for wanting to buy the rights to these, because they're not making a full game, but they are really giving you a lot to work with. So basically, this is a monster manual for everything they've produced in the second series. I wonder if they've done it with the first series as well. Look at that. Yeah, so 5e stats, but it's a smaller, it's a smaller book, but quite a few. Wow, quite a few pages. I guess no page numbers. I'm trying to figure out what we're dealing with here. Maybe 50 pages. It's pretty hefty. Let's see. Oh, no, much more than that. About 100 pages. We've got about 100 pages with no page numbers. Why would you have an index if you don't number the pages? Okay, a little bit of a mistake there. Yeah, that's... Oh, no, wait. Are those page numbers? Yeah, if you can see that might be a page number, but it's not black. Wow. Oh, and there's even photography of some of the miniatures themselves. This is not a quick and easy thing to do. So they had to, really pick this up and go. So what does this say? So Wildspire Miniatures is a growing Oh, Texas-based. Well, it did. Yeah, it did. I guess they have many offices because we saw maybe everyone that's handling the manufacturing is EU and Chinese-based. A Texas-based company serving the fantasy tabletop community. We are best known for producing amusing, very, very kind of humorous 28 millimeter scale miniatures compatible with D&D or Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy games. At our core, we aim to entertain players with unique designs and also providing a mix of common high utility characters. We want our miniatures to reflect the defining elements of the fantasy role-playing genre, imagination, near limitless possibility, and creativity. It is our hope that fun, offbeat design bring a tad bit of more fantasy into the fantasy genre and inspire players during the games. Yeah, so they do go for very whimsical. There's, like clowns and a lot of anthropomorphic animals and things. Kind of cuter, sillier stuff. Wow, very interesting. So let's see if they mention, so they're just calling this the Classic Adventures Miniatures, a massive set of essential monsters, and you can quickly equip by any GM. Okay, so they are making this, and I don't know if there are other products do this as well, but it must have been pretty obvious this would be a good way to go if they already had this with what Blacklist was doing. Yeah, they did. They statted out. So I wonder, I don't see any Wizards of the Coast. Yes. So this is copyright 2025 Silverstone Creations LLC. Interesting, but I don't see any licensing. Maybe the monsters, maybe these are all monsters that fall under the Creative Commons. There's no beholders or mind flayers in here, would be my guess. So everything is generic enough, like a cat. Generic enough. So I'll just do a quick flip through. But yeah, they have color art for everything as well as photography of the unpainted plastic. Really interesting. I wasn't expecting this. It's quite a thing to add on. I mean, it makes it very functional, and this was kind of why I wanted to have this box around as well, because it's, when you're rolling random monsters in a miniatures game like Frostgrave, and you want to just be able to grab stuff and have rats and boars and wolves and things, spiders and snakes ready to go, this kind of miniature set is great. And of course, all of this could be handled with 3D printing, but, then you have to anticipate or just print every possible thing. Yeah, lots of goblins. Everything's statted out, and they even, have a little bit of a write-up. So it looks very much like a miniature monster manual. So I saw some other information at the end here. Let's take a look and see what else they're promoting. That might give you an idea of what else they do. So here's their Appendix A. Creatures by, oh wow. The creatures by their creature rating. Appendix B, the campaign setting. Oh, so I guess they do. I guess they do third party. So they have a campaign setting, the Heroes of Solon, a player's guide, and the setting. All this looks to be available as PDF. They have a Townfolk set. Yeah, so they do have a setting. And then here, and one of their monster sets. So here's how they produce or present their previous sets. They're in these black boxes with the pictures of all the miniatures on the front. Yeah, so they have done a lot of stuff specifically for 5e, it looks like, and a huge dragon. A bookish dragon. Yeah, so always a little odd. A lot of silly dancing, cooking things and a set of companions. Yeah, so they're really trying to give you all-purpose miniatures. There's an introduction even to their setting. The World of Solon. And yeah, more of their books. And then the Appendix C is all of their... Okay, so copyright, so let's see. Yeah, they're mentioning the OGL SRD 5.1. Yeah, so I guess as long as everything's under there and nothing's from outside of that. Yeah, no mention of Wizards of the Coast. Oh, and a special thanks to the original Blacklist game backers who provided feedback to Wildspire to advance and in advance and with continuous support. Also, thanks to the loving friends and family and other backers and stuff there. Here's the OGL. And here's their family fantasy RPGs. Yeah, so they're promoting some other stuff in here. Interesting. And yeah, GM Binder. So download the Heroic Townspeople quest modules for Wildspire for GM Binder. Yeah, so they're producing third-party content. I didn't, recognize their name from that. Nice logo, though. Nice professional-looking logo. But yeah, so there's a little 5e booklet, third-party 5e booklet. Oh, okay. Well, we got a little bit of, I spoke too soon, a little bit of vacuum forming and a lot more of Ziploc bags and bubble wrap. All right. So we don't have, I guess, we have this book that alphabetically presents everything, but let's just go through and take a look at what they did. So it's nice. The larger pieces are in a sort of case to keep them a little safer, and maybe they would bang around and get a little bit more damage. Yeah. But these pieces, so yeah, it's the exact same, looks like the quality and plastic that they had done before. It looks like we've got a Chimera here, Manticore, Chimera. So nice. They're all on bases, and the bases are the stiffer, the harder plastic, and then the miniatures themselves are a little more flexible. But yeah, the horns look pretty correctly, pointed and everything. So they have they're holding their shape pretty well. Yeah, some quite large miniatures. Looks like we have an Ent here. Quite big, and they're all pre-assembled. And yeah, so they have been factory assembled, so there are some gaps and glue lines and stuff you'll have to deal with if you're going to prime and paint them. And a Hydra. Yeah, these are quite large, as you can see. These are, what is that, 60, 70, bigger than 50, maybe 50 or 60 mil base, and nice, rigid. So they're stuck to them really well. Not a flexible base that'll have like a turned up lip or anything. But yeah, these are some really large pieces. So I guess, these aren't going to be bagged. We have some sort of probably, frost giant, hill giant, undead giant. Oh, maybe zombie giant? I don't know. His eyes are looking kind of crazy holding a rock. But of course, the larger ones have nice detail too. They don't, not a big loss of detail because they're so huge themselves. But yeah, everything is kind of where it's supposed to be. It doesn't look like anything was pulled out of the molds too early. Oh, here's our frost giant. That's looking like a giant Nordic frost giant with a huge axe. Yeah. So not a lot of flash or anything. They're nice and clean. So those are our big, so we got a piece of foam down here to kind of cushion stuff. And then let's take a look at some of these bags. Yeah. So this was the thing, because they did, from being a backer without having to pay shipping, they did offer a set of STLs for all of these miniatures. I was following in the comments, and they said they were just going to be bagging things for the final, kind of a physical product release. And so that made me picture this and not really want a bag of stuff just to mill through. It's not a very efficient use of space, but those vacuum form trays really keep things organized, and at a glance you can see, oh, here's some goblins or here's some wolves. This is going to take some rummaging around to do so. But well, let's see how they did. These actually are feeling like a little bit stiffer plastic. Oh, no, we're good. So here's some of our characters here. A dwarf, I don't know, he's a ranger. He's there's a whole list. Actually, let me bring that up and see if we can just pull some of these off the website itself. All right, so Lasting Tales that was the second set. So let's see what their original list Yes, so for the second set, they produced 218. That's right. So this ended up being, for this set, you are missing, I believe, some duplicates. I think there's at least one of everything that was produced by Blacklist, but they didn't go up to the 218. So I think you're getting like 2 or 3 instead of 4 or 5 of some of the duplicated miniatures themselves. But as far as the list itself, sorry, just a second here. Yeah, they don't go through much of a list. Yeah, so, and this original price point was $75. The previous First Fantasy was $60. So for 200 miniatures, that was pretty, $65, I believe. For 200 miniatures, that was pretty, yeah. So they give you 5 of everything. So I think they didn't do that original presentation for the enemies. So here, yeah, let's go by what they're named in here. Oh, not pictured. Okay, we got some extra characters, some unlocked characters here. Yeah, we have some kind of elven or possibly human bard playing some sort of instrument. All right, I'll just line these up on the lid as we continue to open them. But I'm assuming this is a lot of the PCs. Some sort of rogue or thief of the human variety. And the previous set had the same sort of, kind of real common race and class combination. So you could, find something usable, at least like somewhat representative of your player character to quickly represent them on a table. Yeah, these might be all the variations because I'm not seeing anything from the list itself. So it's looking angrily half orcish. That's not a thing anymore, though, is it? But depending on how you painted her, she could be whatever, a gnome or a halfling-looking ranger. Sorry, there we go. And another hooded fella. Yeah, did I fix the focus, or is it still auto? Yeah, it's still auto. Is it? All right. Yeah, so the detail as you're seeing in these these human scale, and demi-human scale miniatures, the detail's decent. Board game, board game-ish, a little soft on the details. So you have to be careful priming them. You don't want to go too heavy on anything because you're going to lose. You're already behind. So a dwarven ranger, it looks like. So yeah, a couple of kind of variations on things. So it would work for somebody to find something close enough to represent a character, and to have so many available to choose from. Similar. So companies like Paizo do their pawns, their heavy stock cardboard, full color pawns, and those work well. Yeah, I think we've got every combination of what species and class. Yeah, so a tiny bard, another type of ranger. Yeah, and the genders are, they're hard to tell which way they're kind of skewing. You're seeing a lot of, I don't know if there's male and female bags. I don't know how it's possible. And here's even more player characters. Yeah, but as you can see, I spoke too soon. So this looks like some sort of paladin and barbarian. So the head of that hammer is not perfect. It's a little off, but I think a little bit of hot water will straighten that out. But it's not as horrible as it gets. Yeah, things are also, there's a little bit of bend. Nothing's broken, but this is also, flexible plastic. So it will go back. Yeah, there's a nice straight sword. I think we're doing well with a lot of these. Yeah, the nice things with the trays as well is they're easier for the camera. I don't have to one at a time do these to give you an idea. Yeah, so there's a lot of humans, a lot of larger human models here. So maybe that was elves, dwarves, and halflings in that last box. They seem to be a lot of humans. Bag, I mean. Yeah, a little bit of bend on that sword, but not crazy. Not like, you know, touching touching their body or anything. So decent. Let me get really in. Oh yeah, so the autofocus is still on. So this will give you an idea, the detail and the little bendiness we're dealing with here. So very paintable, and you know, a heck of a lot better than you know, what WizKids and stuff is doing with their pre-painted. Some of that stuff can just come across very, very awful. I think there was even an article about they wanted to present some limited edition miniatures to the I don't know, voice actors of Baldur's Gate or the D&D movie or something. And they were just so badly, embarrassingly painted. I think it was Baldur's Gate. They were just so embarrassingly painted that... Yes, there's everything with a shield in this bag, I think. This is the bag with the shields. Yeah, like a halfling or gnome. Very tiny. All right, and one's on the floor. But yeah, everything, there's a little sickle. Everything's, yeah, nicely intact, and with it not being a brittle plastic, there's not breakage. And so, of course, that's why they, you know, decided they could go for something like this, because there's not going to be, even if stuff gets snagged, it's not going to snap. So you will have these tangled up in bags, possibly. Wow, here's one heck of a staff. Yeah, it keeps catching the bugs. Yes, so a lot of variations on human paladin fighter. Huh, interesting. Yeah, so basically, yeah, unless, you know, people are going for the really exotic races, which I don't think they would have the rights, you know, to reproduce. This is what they're able to do with the, you know, kind of Creative Commons species that are allowed. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a huge number of, I mean, you have unlimited. Oh, here. No, we are getting into monsters. Okay, finally, this bigger bag. So it was 2 bags of kind of player characters, and now we're getting into the monsters here. So it looks like we're getting to what, kobolds or lizard men here. They've got tails. And a small... well, I think they did gargoyles already. So who are these? We're looking at... Oh, yeah. So, it is like one of each in some cases. So on the campaign page itself, there's not even... there's just concept art for things like the dwarf male bard and things that we saw. Oh, no, I guess that was supposed to be a Cyclops, this guy. I thought yeah, there we go. I guess he does have one eye. So this is the Cyclops that we looked at previously. One of the large miniatures, yeah, but they're not naming these little lizard guys. They're calling them, yeah, lizard folk. Yeah, so not having things organized is making it a little hard to to go through. I apologize for everything being so random. And snakes. Yeah, so, let's take a look and just kind of set things out. I think, actually, we don't have... So, it was in the Blacklist Miniatures, it's 5 of everything. So, you have, you know, that's why you need all of the rows and rows in the trays. But I'm not seeing a lot of duplicates. Oh, unless the bags themselves are duplicates. It's possible that, you know, like just one set of each from the molds. Oh, yeah, it looks like that's what we're dealing with here. So these 3 bags look to be identical. And here's some really tiny. So we have a few more PCs. to go through. Wow. Yeah, so 3 bags. 3.5. 3.5 bags. Look at these little guys. 3.5 bags. These are children? What are these? Yeah, I think these are maybe like townsfolk types. They're very small though. 3.5 bags of NPCs, and then it looks like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're different molds. I'm seeing some duplication. Yeah, I can't make out much of an organization to this. These look like the larger bags look like they contain a lot of the same. Monsters. So everything in the book that we flipped through basically is in here. Oh, more wolves though. We already have wolves. That's interesting. And a dog and yeah, so there will be, yeah, between the bags we'll have a few duplicates, but it looks like in each bag, yeah, and a bear. So some of these, I guess these are yeah, this is the second series 2, so we are okay. Oh, the other thing that you may see not here is a lot of the elemental and magical and, green slimes and things, oozes and ochre jellies are not produced in colored, like transparent plastic. So everything is done in gray. I think they gave up the idea and also probably the expense of doing some of the specialty monsters. You'll see in that first Blacklist set, the genies and air elementals and things are done, ghosts and things are done translucent plastic, which is really nice. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any duplication, so we may have duplication between bags. So we've got orcs and things. Yeah, it looks like a lot of larger orc characters. And an eagle on a rock. Oh, and a mimic. That's interesting. So I guess a mimic is not owned by Dungeons and Dragons. It's not a Wizards of the Coast property. Because that appears. It looks like a crazy... Is this a kobold? These are very dog-like looking. Yeah, depending on what era and who's telling the tale, you either go from dog-like to dragon-like for kobolds. And we did see it, and here's the actual miniature for it. The cat. That is a tiny... It is a house cat scale, so yeah, it is a very tiny thing. Interesting. So yeah, so here is... So everything that was in one bag, so it doesn't look like any duplicate, so I'm sure some of these bags then will be identical, which I'm assuming, yeah, we're looking at, yes, because here's another bear. So I think this bag is going to be duplicates of these, and this one as well. Yeah, there's a bear and everything in there. So it's three of each, as opposed to 5, so that cuts things down quite a bit. But... And what do we have here? I think this is our third bag of player characters. Yeah, they unlocked, for these campaigns, they have, they started out with 75, I believe, and then they unlock over 200. So there's a lot of unlocks. And it's, gender, species, class, variations. So you have almost between these two sets, you have almost every permutation of maybe the player's handbook options. Although I don't think... They didn't do a legally distinct tiefling or anything. I mean, you could kind of fake it with you could paint an elf, an elf color. But I don't think they have any legally distinct, I think tiefling makes it into the player's handbook these days. But yeah, it's, decent detail, more shields. Lots of armor. There's a little bit of bend on a sword here. But not bad. Yeah, so there aren't duplications here. It looks like a a monk, a gnomish monk. So no duplications between these player character miniatures. There's not multiples of any of these. So that gives you the huge variety. Oh, yeah, so that is, oh yeah, here we go. So we're looking at a female, maybe gnome, and a female dwarf or girl, young human monk. So a lot of variation. So it looks like they're not incredibly creative about the look of them, though. They're just kind of changing. They're going to be similarly equipped, which might be a good thing if a group of people is choosing. Oh, here's a bend on a sword that's not great, but not broken. So not a bad trade-off. Yeah. So I've got a lot of PCs. Wow. Yeah, and here's even more. This looks like a lot of a lot of magic users. My goodness. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. So there doesn't seem to be like, a big logic between, what's in various bags aside from probably just what came out of molds. Wow. Yeah, so that's some pretty ornate stuff. That can't have been that easy to put together. Quite a few pieces there. So yeah, a lot of druids and magic users of all species. I can't believe they went with species. Yeah, so this looks like our magic user bag. Oh, this is the worst presentation for things in a bag. But yeah, a variety of poses. You can find something that's close enough. And if they are going to remain gray plastic, you can get away with a lot more. Look at this little magic user with his hat. Wow. So yeah, a lot of magic users and the smaller. Oh wait, there's something with horns. That looks like it could be a tiefling. They might call that a demonkin or something. Let's check if they what they can say. Yeah, so kobold. Yeah, they do have a kobold. Yeah, they don't look like they have. So they have dragonkin. Something they can use. Dire bear. Demonkin. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so your tieflings are going to be legally distinct demonkin, but there are. Yeah, so that does pretty much cover the player's handbook. For 5e. Let's take a look at a few more. We've got a halfling druid here. Yeah, so it's what I expected as far as not being that fun to sort. It'd be nice to get these into some sort of easy to look at storage option instead of just having them in plastic bags. But that would involve me like magnetizing bases. There's our demonkin. And doing all kinds of funky things. I don't know. Or just getting, some foam tray inserts that would be able to hold enough of them that they could be facing out. So yeah, a ton. And that's not even all. A ton of player characters. Yeah, here's these strange, these might be the townsfolk. So here is, and yeah, okay, so probably 3 or 4 possibly. No, I guess they went from 5 to 4. I'd have to confirm that because it looks like we've got 5 identical bags of the monsters, the smaller kind of standard mobs. And here's that small bag of little miniatures. Let's see. No, these look like just small folk, small demi-humans. Yep, just more, or is that a, nope, not townsfolk. It looks like adventurers. Yes, he's got a backpack. Yeah. Oh, that's a blacksmith, though. So it is, this is maybe very intended to be NPCs, and they have that same sort of thing. They have like the barmaid and the, innkeeper and things in the first set. So these must be from kind of an NPC focus. Yeah, which Wildspire already has a bit of. All right, so yeah, we won't go through yet because there's another eagle and everything. So I think there's 4 identical. That makes sense then. So if you reduced one of that would bring it from, what was it, 223 down to 195. So here's our original sets of all these folks. And yeah, it fits with the quality of the plastic to just have them, board game sorted like that. But okay, so here's our last set, and we do have. So they gave a no dragon in here, but we do have a big elder god. So it was nice. It was secured. It's not cellophane tape. It was secured. Oh, okay. So it looks like we've got a back and a front. So here's the interesting. Yeah. So they just kind of like got it in as best they could. And it makes sense that they were trying to cut costs because I'd rather have this than, have it be impossible because they spent too much money trying to present them. We've got some more larger scale kind of giant figures, an owl bear, maybe with a legally distinct name. Yeah, so big pieces still. Looks like an Ifrit or a Jinn, maybe. Here's our manticore. Yeah, but these the large ones are presented well. See, they're never going to go back in. Just jam them. Just have to jam them all back in upside down. A centaur? Some sort of demonic centaur? Nice. A 2-headed, very angry giant, probably. What, fire giant? A very large alligator. Crocodile. I don't know, can you see his teeth? And a minotaur. Yeah, so a lot of very standard monsters as we saw from that from the booklet. And then our last 2 are the griffin. Wow. Or is that not griffin? A griffin, right? Yeah, griffin. I'm so lost, so paranoid about we've seen so many iterations of fantasy creatures now. So yeah, the larger ones. Yeah, so they did do the Hydra. And the Manticore. Yeah, this is their Griffin. I like the this final version much better than the concept art. The concept art's pretty terrible. Yeah, but some nice extra detail. And finally, the public domain Elder God. I don't know when this comes up. I think this is when the players lose completely either their sanity or everything. But yeah, they have. And what did they call it? I'm sure. What is a legally distinct Cthulhu called? Yeah, so it's all concept art on the site. I called most of them an ancient dweller. So this is the huge miniature. In the previous one, it was the dragon. And in this series, the second series, it's the ancient dweller. Yes. That which is dead. All right. So the sleeping, slumbering elder god, which you can throw at your players. I think that's a little unfair just to have an elder god waiting to throw at them. So here is the idea. So this is how they were all presented in the previous series. So they did opt for this, and unless you're printing everything, if you're going to take the STLs and you're going to print all of this stuff, and you're going to use the ABS-like or very, the hard to break, very strong photo resin to do it, or FDM, some PLA or whatever, to do these and find some kind of stronger material, you're probably going to run into close to, the $50 that they charged to get this here. So I figured it was worth it. I don't like the fact that it's going to be stored like this, that there's not a great, I'm going to be really surprised if I can get this all back in the box. It's just not going to store great, and it's not going to be easy to sort. I'm going to have to go through, to use these, they're not going to be just open and flip through a couple of trays. They're going to be have to prep, a lot of this stuff. But they match the quality of the previous ones. There's not a, distinct drop in quality. They didn't do anything where they lost detail on the molds, and the assembly looks good. There isn't anything where, stuff is hanging off or there's not enough glue. So their quality control was good. So yeah, Wildspire Miniatures did a decent job, and I'm really glad that there was somebody there to pick this up and run with it. And I guess, it was just a good match because this fit with what they were already doing. They were doing third-party 5e miniature support in a little more whimsical way, a little funnier, a little sillier. And this gave them a kind of straightforward, really meat and potatoes, couple of sets now. So if you are interested in having this kind of basic set of miniatures that covers, a very general monster manual and, all of the maybe player's handbook combinations of characters to draw from for, getting something on the table, this is a great option. It wasn't feasible. There's that $65 that they did for that first series, and then actually getting those to people wasn't feasible, but it was a beautiful dream while they had it. I think Blacklist Miniatures, I really am glad. And I'm glad it's another American company that picked this up and ran with it. When I was looking at the back of the box, it looked like it wasn't. So it went from a California company to a Texas company. So that's not a bad trade-off. And this didn't get scrapped, just because they couldn't do fulfillment. They didn't end up scrapping all of this work and production that they had done. And yeah, so now the bases, so these were actually produced with a Wildspire branding on them. But yeah, I think this is a really nice option. It was really hard to pass up because it was sorted so well. It covered all the bases. Like I said, you had every kind of, wandering monster to just pull from. That worked really well for just, you're rolling on a table and then you can just, look in the box for that. This is not, going to be that easy to go through, but it is pretty nice to have this, this every kind of combination of player character options, as well as some big things to put on the table, some impressive looking plastic to put on the table for random general. So, general fantasy, I think this is a great option. And even, it's for younger gamers and things as well. I think this is a nice way to go. This is the thing, the art on the covers of the, box sets and the books and the miniatures is what really got me into this hobby. So this kind of stuff is hard to resist. So yeah, that is it. That is the resurrection, the reforging, as they're calling it, the reforging of the Realm by Wildspire Games. So both of these, and I think they're going to be presented in the same way. So to have the same number of 5 of each that was available, you would have to either order them separately if that's a possibility, or have them have the duplicates printed. They do their same kind of presentation as their others. They show renders of all of the miniatures on the front, so you see what you're getting in the box. And this is nice too. They did this is a close up of one of the 28 millimeter human scale miniatures, so you see the kind of detail. It's not insane, but you see it's decent, kind of board game quality detail. That's nice. That I didn't notice that the first time we looked at the box itself. Yes, so Blacklist Games is still a thing. They do have the rights to their Lasting Tales as well, but there has not really been any updates. Let me take a quick look at the any updates. So the last thing that they posted was from the beginning of this year. So Blacklist Games talked about Happy New Year. This is a fresh start. And they did do some discussion. So they do have other games, and they did do some discussion of what's going on. But we're in November of 2025, and they haven't updated anything that they're working on. They do have some more licensed IP things as well, Mega Man Adventures, Contra the board game. Oh, wait, let's see. List of past franchises and who currently owns. Oh, so these are things that they worked on before that they handed off. So, I'm sorry. Under Blacklist, so those are previous ventures. Blacklist Games currently owns the following: Hour of Need, Dire Alliance, Brook City, Buddy Cop, and Lasting Tales. So, all of the other previous projects are owned by other companies now, including the artwork, gameplay mechanics, and STLs. So there hasn't been a lot of activity throughout the year on the website and things. I haven't followed them on social media, so I'm not sure what to be doing. Yes. So it looks like they are going to possibly rebrand. Oh, that might be why I haven't heard anything, because it looks like they're working on a rebranding. The owner has never liked the name Blacklist. Interesting. But they did it. It wasn't, I'm not, overjoyed that they couldn't, for what I had previously paid, do this. They needed another, a greatly discounted, but they needed another pledge to actually, a small amount of money to get this to previous backers. But they made that available, and the system worked really well. Sometimes that, Kickstarter and backer kit and some of that stuff doesn't work well when they're having to, do this kind of recovery and resurrection and things. This was as good as you could expect. And it's nice to actually see this physical thing. So this is how this stuff exists. This is probably who you're going to go to if you want just generic, a lot of townsfolk, a lot of monsters. I think they own the rights to all of the previous sets that Blacklist was doing, including some, kind of gothic monsters and different sorts of genre things. So Blacklist Miniatures and Games is no more, possibly totally resetting. I thought I might have been mistaken. Maybe there was a beta release of a PDF of their Lasting Tales. I don't know what's going to happen to that, but these miniatures were intended, so it was kind of a Rangers of Shadow Deep kind of vibe. It looked like they were doing a very generic version of a fantasy cooperative, and you just had all the miniatures you could grab from, which was a great idea, which works really well, because that's what these kind of sets, that's the strength of these sets, is there's a giant spider and there's a dragon, and there's everything that you would, need to represent, randomly generated stuff or very basic fantasy trope stuff. But I'll post in the comments if I find any more details, like what the company was renamed and kind of where things stand. So if you're in North America, please let us know in the comments. Did you get burnt by this campaign? Were you frustrated with this? Were you reluctant like me to actually get these physically because of, the kind of low level of storage options and how they were presented? Or do you also, just like me, love these big triple-digit numbers for double-digit prices for fantasy miniatures? I mean, with 3D printing, this is kind of, getting more and more obsolete, but I think this is the end. They kind of proved that by Blacklist not being able to kind of follow through with the second set of these fantasy miniatures. It's just, this isn't that feasible anymore. And hopefully if 3D printing gets to a better, non-toxic, easier push button, level, that we'll be doing a lot of this kind of generic fantasy stuff at home, because there's a lot of gorgeous digital sculpts out there and a lot of companies that do great digital assets, and we have digital assets for all this stuff. The nice thing too about the digital files is you can scale things, so we can bring everything down to 6 millimeter, bring it, take everything up to larger. I mean, I'm sure there's considerations for doing those sorts of things, but overall this is a useful, kind of generic set, especially if you are just running, something like classic 5e kind of stuff. But like I said, it's been great for random monsters for all kinds of games that we've been playing. These are great to go for. So miniatures agnostic, skirmish games and adventure games and things where you need to roll on tables and just pull random miniatures, this works really well because you've got a little bit of everything. So that is going to do it. And yeah, I didn't present it in a very, very dramatically or in the correct order. Oh, but this is interesting. The Fantasy 1 series raised over $1 million. So they were well funded. You know, they really did. And then the Fantasy 2 raised, yeah, almost the same. So yeah, I wish they could, oh no, more, 1.3, almost 1.4. So yeah, I wish this could have happened. I wish they could have really pulled this off, because having then a game, which was their Lasting Tales, and I think that's why they held on to it, is miniatures agnostic. It was intended, you know, for this set, so you have a lot of good options, but you don't need to buy their miniatures to play that game. So I hope that someday comes out. There is a PDF available on the page, which they don't really say what it is. Just their free PDF version. So I'll put links and things in comments and update if I find out any more information. But this, in case you were wondering, this is what happened to Blacklist Miniatures Fantasy Series. It is now Realm Reforged. So it's not incredibly clear, because it's only knowing what was in that first set and not seeing any colored plastic and things that I know what this is. But it doesn't, they changed the branding enough that it's not very obvious that this is Fantasy 2 from Blacklist, which is a shame, because yeah, it would be nice to know this is part 2 and there's a part 1, because they have the rights to all of this stuff now. But yeah, they are releasing it in their catalog with their projects. This was just, yeah, this was the surprising part, is this little tiny 5 ebook with so much work and illustration gone into it. And I guess, I guess it is a lot of the concept art that they purchased from Blacklist. Yeah, so they wouldn't have had to pay for all of this again. Yeah, oof. Yeah, that makes sense, to do the little to do the book. And yeah, so this is the result. This is where we're at. And yeah, I expect this is going to be one of the few companies. And be careful too when you're just randomly buying stuff off of, like Amazon or, online retails, because you do see even the Alibaba and Temu and some of the shadier Chinese sources. They will, like I've seen HeroQuest, expansion miniatures and stuff show up in those Chinese places. So who knows if those are, somebody abusing the molds and doing long runs of them and trying to sell off the extra or what. But just be careful. Try to go with a brand and a company that you can trust the quality of. And as you've seen, through here, they do a decent job of pre-assembled miniatures. You're not going to get a lot of junk. I mean, even if it's, it's presented a little bit like stuff you may get from Alibaba, but the quality is much nicer. All right. So I'm done amusing myself and hopefully you. And yes, so this has been another unboxing. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of this. Click on the Blacklist Miniatures Fantasy 1 series if you'd like to see how this would have been presented if the world would have been different, if we were living in the better timeline. And we do a weekly wrap up every Thursday night Pacific North American time of tabletop topics on the weekly. That's usually Chris and I, sometimes Matt and I. And we also do an actual play series, which usually happens Saturday night, West Coast American time. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to the members and subscribers for both Patreon and YouTube for keeping things going. So this has been Realm Reforged by Wildspire Games and Miniatures. And I'll put all the links that I have for everything in here so you can take a look at any of this if you're interested. And thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.